Good afternoon. This is Mrs. Hagan,
And Mrs. Rue.
and we are putting together some information to welcome all of our Casanova High School students back to school starting tomorrow for the 2020-21 school year. We're going to take you through a series of slides and let you know what's going on here in the building. We'll talk about some new staff members, some different locations of classrooms, and we'll also run through some of our safety protocol that is in place as we reopen school. So we're going to get started. The plan for the year, and this is something we've shared with your faculty and staff, is for us to be successful in reopening, we need to remember that we have to be safe, we have to be kind, and we have to be flexible. We've talked to your teachers about this, but we're going to ask for your cooperation in helping us to be successful with reopening by really being safe in everything we do, by being kind to others, and being flexible. Things will not necessarily be the same as they always have been. There may be things that need to change, and there may be things that we have to adjust, but we know that we can be successful if we can be safe, kind, and flexible. And we really want your cooperation and assistance as we get ready for the year and being back here together.
We have some new staff at the high school this year. Ms. Tarsel is our new school psychologist. Mrs. Desmond is a teaching assistant in our building. Mrs. Hatter is a student teacher with Mrs. Millen. And Mrs. Kuhn is our psychology intern for the year.
And also a new teacher that I didn't list here, but should have, is Mrs. Sessler. Many of you know as Coach Sessler is going to be fulfilling a long-term sub position this year in global studies too. So we welcome all of our new staff to the building. There will be some new faces that you see. We're very happy that they're here, and we know that you'll be happy to work with them. Our building is looking very different than it was when we left in March. There is quite a few parts of our Capitol building project that are still well underway. One big change you'll notice when you get here is the relocation of the main office. The main office is directly to the right of the portico when you enter the building. Mrs. Matina, Mrs. Hobby, Mrs. Rue, and I are all in that new space. It is not quite finished, so when you visit, you'll see that things are still pretty under construction, but we're making the best of it. The wing that we've traditionally called the math wing is really under construction. 2 of the 6 math rooms that were there, 143, Miss Miller, and 144, Mrs. Stoffer, are still over there. But the math wing, the other 4 rooms were combined. They're under construction for a new STEM suite. Eventually this year, we're going to be moving Mr. Fon, Mr. Hurd, Mr. Hyatt, Mrs. New, all over to that space. You'll find that when you get there that this tunnel has been closed in. We can now actually travel from the first floor over to the math wing. There are some temporary hallways that have us connected. That is a pretty significant change. Mrs. Shug and Mrs. Milana, they are teaching out of some different classrooms this year. You'll see on your schedules that if you have Mrs. Shug and Mrs. Milana, you'll really need to pay close attention to the room number. Miss Byrne is relocated to 240. And Mrs. Sunahy is relocated to room 219. So lots of changes with our math department. And some of those are temporary spaces and some are going to be that way moving forward. Mr. Oldfield, Mrs. Zampano, and Mrs. Ferret are also kind of temporarily relocated in the 206 AD suite. They're going to receive a new office that will be on the first floor where the main office was, but that is not quite done. So Miss Zampano, Mr. Oldfield, and Miss Ferret will be in room 206 for the beginning of school. Mrs. Tresco will still be in her office, room 205. And Mrs. Rieger and the interns will also be located kind of in some various locations as we start the year. If you need to find one of the counseling team members and you cannot find them, come to the main office and we will help you to locate your counselor. Mrs. Tarsel, the new school psychologist, will be in room 246. Mrs. Hudson has also been relocated. Her health office is directly connected to the new main office. If you need to see Mrs. Hudson, she is almost directly diagonal from the concession stand. I mentioned the STEM wing, which is under construction. We're hoping that project is finished by December of 2020. And then also our special education suite, room 104, used to be one of our family and consumer science classrooms and a senior lunch area. That is now a special education classroom, and they'll be putting the finishing touches on that space over the next few weeks. So lots of building changes in terms of where things are and the different construction that's going on, and you'll see it tomorrow and Thursday when you visit us.
Here is our bell schedule for a regular school day. You'll notice that the warning bell is at 8:45. Our class periods are generally 33 minutes long. We are not having homeroom this year, so homeroom has been incorporated into first period. You'll notice that there's an extra 5 minutes added on to first period to account for attendance and some of those other procedural things that happen during homeroom. We have 5 minutes between passing, and our dismissal time is at 2:30. Starting next week, not starting this Wednesday, but starting next Wednesday on the 16th, we will have an activity period during which time we are going to focus on social and emotional learning. The events of the past several months have certainly taken a toll on everyone in different ways, and it's important for us to educate the whole child, and we want to have a time set aside where we can have conversations related to that. And so we have a curriculum that we will be following, and there'll be some information that will be sent out to families about that. But we have 25 minutes set aside at the beginning of every Wednesday starting next week that will be designated for an SEL activity period, and then we will continue on with our day. We've shrunk the periods at just a few minutes, so there'll be 29-minute periods with 5 minutes of passing.
Okay, so lots of questions out there about what we do when we get to school. So here are the building procedures for arriving at school. The time for arrival for all students is at 8:30 a.m. At 8:30, bus students will enter from the bus circle using the door by the middle school cafeteria. Students that ride buses will also have their temperature taken while on the bus prior to entering the building. Walkers and drop-off students will enter through the high school portico doors. This is a big change for this year. Our west lot is not going to be used for student drop-off. You need to use Emory Ave or arrange a drop-off with your parents somewhere close by. Many people will use Hurd Street or the St. James parking lot. The west lot, again, is going to only be used for staff parking. It will not be used for student drop-off. All students who walk in through the portico will have their temperature checked upon arrival. As mentioned before, the bus students will get it off when they get off the bus. The walkers and drop-offs will have it taken in the high school portico. This week, we'll be doing handheld thermometers. Very soon, we'll have some kiosk stations that will be in place in the high school portico.
And one other thing to note about the West Lot, if you were to be picked up during the day for an appointment, the West Lot will be open for your parents to come in and park and come in through the portico as they normally would to sign you out. The West Lot will just be closed during arrival and dismissal times.
So once you are here, you will need to bring that daily health screening slip with you. Whether you enter through the middle school, high school cafeteria door or the high school portico, you will need to have that daily health screening slip to give to the faculty or staff that's at that station. If you are a breakfast student, you may go to the high school cafeteria and purchase a grab and go option. You may eat that in the cafeteria if you choose to, or you can also grab and go and eat it on your way to your first period class. All students, as mentioned, will report directly to their first period classroom. There is no separate homeroom, so each day you'll need to be mindful of what day of the schedule it is. On a day 1 and 3, you'll go to your first period class. On a day 2 and 4, you would go to the opposite class for your first period. Our faculty and staff will be positioned at their classroom doors. They'll welcome you into first period, or they'll assist you with hallway supervision between 8:30 and 8:45. We're really going to ask your full cooperation in coming into school safely, having those daily health screening slips, cooperating when your temperature is taken, and then really getting organized and making your way to your first period classroom. That's really, we're going to hope for a very smooth morning arrival sequence for kids.
Daily attendance will be recorded in first period, and students will be marked absent if you are not in first period at the bell at 8:50. If you are absent or tardy, you need to have an excuse, and that can be sent to Mrs. Hobby via email, or you can also bring in a physical note as well. Please take time to review our full attendance policy, and this will be posted on the website later today. That has detailed information that you need to be aware of, and it's updated for this year.
So this year, we did not assign all high school students a locker. This was something that we've been thinking about doing for the last couple of years because so many students do not utilize them. However, if you are a student who likes to use your locker, you may request one. Mrs. Hobby in the main office is currently working on locker assignments. We will get that information to you. So plan on just a few days of organization for us to get that locker information ready for you. Tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you'll really need to bring limited materials with you for the half days, but we will get you those locker assignments ready to go to start next week. And just as a reminder, you are permitted to carry your backpacks with you throughout the day if you do not choose to use a locker assignment.
Building transitions. We will be transitioning from class to class throughout the day, and there will be signage in the hallways to support social distancing, which is an expectation. Our rising eighth graders know that they can look to our upperclassmen and to our faculty and staff to help them get around the building. And our transitions from between periods will be staggered. So if the bell rings and you are in an even numbered room, you will be dismissed at the bell. If you are in an odd numbered room, your teacher is going to hold you for 1 to 2 minutes after the bell, and then you will be allowed to transition to your next class.
And just as a reminder, too, for our transitions, that when the bell rings and you are moving to your next class period, we do ask that you go directly to wherever you are going to be for the next instructional block. We will not allow congregating in the common area or in hallways. We're really going to ask for your full cooperation. Travel on the right-hand side of the hallway, socially distanced, wearing your masks, obviously, at all times, and really making your way to your next location. Your teachers may ask you to pause before entering the classroom. They may be making final touches in terms of getting the room cleaned and ready for you to enter. They may ask that you wait for a signal to come into the classroom. And each teacher will talk to you about that specifically tomorrow and Thursday as we ease back into school. But just be mindful that those transitions are going to be different, and we're going to ask for full cooperation with you transitioning between the classes.
You'll notice that we have signage on our stairways because we are going to have a single direction of traffic flow. The main staircase by the auditorium, we ask that you stay to the right in both directions. So one side going up, the other side coming down, just stay to the right doing that. The stairway by the cafeteria is going to be used for going up, and that'll be all the way up to the third floor to Mr. Reynolds' room. So that staircase is for going up only. And then on the opposite side of the third floor, Miss Rydelik's room, that stairway is going to be for coming down, traffic going down past Mr. Harney's room, all the way down to the nurse's office. The stairway next to the portico is for traffic going up, and the stairway next to the library in room 238 is for traffic going down. The stairs that lead over to the math wing in the STEM lab area, that will be for both up and down traffic. We do have a reduced number of classrooms over there, so it will be limited traffic in that area.
And as we come back to school and we adjust to these new transitions, your teachers and the faculty, everyone's going to be patient. If you get on your way to a class and you realize that you're only at the up staircase and you need to go down, we'll take a few minutes. We'll get you where you need to go. We're going to be flexible. We're going to be patient, but knowing ahead of time kind of what your travel flow would be a good idea. So looking at your schedule, not a terrible idea to look and say, which staircases would you use? How do you think you'd move from one class to another? But again, we will help each other. Faculty will be patient, and we will learn this new system of transitioning between classes. All right. As you know from your schedules, high school students this year were not scheduled for lunch periods. All high school students were scheduled for study halls during the lunch periods. Students may opt into a scheduled lunch, and many of you have, using the schedule request form. We are going to give preference for our upperclassmen to be given priority in the scheduled lunches in the cafeteria. Students, however, will be permitted to eat lunches either from home or purchased at the grab-and-go style from the cafeteria in study halls or teachers' classrooms with teacher permission. Some of our teachers will have pretty specific expectations for eating and drinking within the classrooms. I think the key this year is going to be to always ask permission before eating and drinking in any of the settings in the building. But we are working on finalizing the lunch period study halls and lunch periods. There'll be more information shared with you as you reenter school this week. For instance, tomorrow for fifth period, tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, if you have a fifth period lunch or study hall, we're going to ask you that you stay in your fourth period class with your teacher. If you have a sixth or seventh period study hall or lunch, we will ask that you report to the cafeteria. There will be a lot of guidance tomorrow and through the rest of the week regarding the fifth, sixth, and seventh period transitions. And again, we'll look for your cooperation and just being alert to announcements and plans related to that as we iron this out.
Regarding student movement, we are going to phase student movement back into our lunches and study halls. So for the first 2 weeks, when you are in lunch or in study hall, you will not be able to use a pass to go to the library or to visit another classroom. We are going to really limit that movement for the first 2 weeks as we get back into the building and get used to our new procedures and routines. Once we have things down, then we will start to phase that back in, and we will go over procedures for what that will look like.
And we understand that students will at times have to leave classes to use the restroom, to get a drink, visit the health office. We're going to ask that students are very, very careful with all of the sign-out sheets in classrooms. If you're going to sign out to go to another location, as mentioned before, we're going to ask that you make sure you write very legibly, make sure that you have the correct date and the correct time anytime you sign out of a class to use the restroom or to visit the health office.
Chromebooks are going to be provided this year to all students to use in their classes. And an acceptable use policy needs to be signed by a parent. A Google form was sent out allowing parents to do this online, but we do need to have that form completed or a physical hard copy signed for you to receive your Chromebook. You'll also receive a charger, and the expectation is that Chromebooks, chargers will be taken home, and Chromebooks will be taken home every day as well and charged every night. Just get into a routine with it. You charge your phone every night, charge your Chromebook every night as well. When the Chromebooks are charged, they hold that charge for 12 hours. Your Chromebooks will be required in every class. They will be a tool that's used for instruction. And so the expectation is that you will have that Chromebook with you throughout the day. And we're going to be handing these out next week, Monday and Tuesday, during your English classes. So for the first 3 half days coming up, you will not have a Chromebook. Your teachers are aware of that. And it will not be until the following week that those are distributed, and we will start using those in the classrooms. Just a reminder, Chromebooks are for instructional purposes only, and parents will be responsible for any lost Chromebooks that are lost or any damage that occurs, and students are not allowed to download apps. One other thing to note is that passwords were updated, so you will notice that you are not able to get into your email or into School Tool at this point. Next week, when your Chromebooks are distributed, inside the Chromebook will be your updated password. Your login information will be there so that you can get into everything. We will be distributing that information to our remote learners so that everyone has the information they need. But again, your password has changed. And so right now, if you're trying to log in, you might notice that you're not able to. You will receive that information with your Chromebook next week.
Okay, procedures for the end of the day. Our school day now will end at 2:30. We will have announcements at the end of the day, and then our dismissal will be staggered. At the bell, we will dismiss our 8th graders first, and then each subsequent grade will be dismissed via the PA system every 1 to 2 minutes. Students do need to leave school at dismissal. Bus students will report directly to the bus circle. Walkers should leave campus, and any student that's being picked up should have a planned location to meet your parent and or guardian. The West Lot is not to be used for pickup after school. The West Emory Avenue will be available. There are parking spots right in the front of the school for a parent to pick you up. You can also have plans to meet your parents at an adjoining street. There's crossing guards, but please develop a plan for how you will meet up with your PM pickup. The West Lot, again, is not going to be used for pickup. It will be closed.
This is our schedule for the half days coming up this week. And you'll notice that we are here from 8:45 until noon for the next 3 days this week. And tomorrow, Wednesday the 9th, students whose last names start with A through L will report to school. Students in the second half of the alphabet do not need to report to school on Wednesday, and we will follow a day 1 schedule. We have an abbreviated schedule, so each class period will be 16 minutes long. We will still have 5 minutes of passing in between classes, and our dismissal will take place at noon. On Thursday, we are going to flip-flop, and students whose last names begin M through Z will report to school. And students, the first half of the alphabet, do not need to report to school on Thursday. On Thursday, we will once again follow a day one schedule. And then on Friday, all students will report to school. And again, we will be on a half-day schedule, but it will be a day two. So by the end of this week, you will have visited all of your teachers. You will have had all of your classes. When we return to school on Monday, the 14th, it will be a full day of school and all students will be attending, and it will be a day three schedule.
For all of our remote learners do not need to log on to any of their Google Classrooms on Wednesday. All remote learners, last named A through Z, will log on to their Google Classrooms and follow their day one schedule on Thursday. All remote learners will also log on Friday for their half-day schedule and follow their day two schedule. And then all remote learners should begin following their full day schedule for day three on Monday, September 14th.
When you arrive to school Wednesday or Thursday, the first thing you need to do is pick up a hard copy of your schedule. These will be printed for you. And so students in grades 8 and 9 report to the Buckley Gym, where a hard copy will be available for you. Grade 10 is to report to the cafeteria. Grade 11, the auditorium, and grade 12 to the LGI, the chorus room. And staff members will be there to hand out your schedules.
If you have additional changes or needs that you need to make adjustments for your schedules, the staff member that's handing out that paper schedule will also have a way to record if there are any issues with lunch, lockers, or study hall. So if you know now that tomorrow when you get here or Thursday when you get here, you're going to need to make a change related to lunch or a study hall, please take the time to tell the staff at those locations that there are still additional changes that need to be made.
Student expectations. As we come back to school, this is going to be different, and it's going to be a learning curve for everyone, but we need your full cooperation in respecting the social distancing guidelines that have been put in place. We expect students to keep hands to themselves, and masks need to be worn at all times, including during transitions between classes in the hallways. Teachers will provide mask breaks, and during those mask breaks, that's the time to remove your mask briefly to take a break. But the time for a mask break is not in the hallway when you are transitioning between classes. We also expect that you will review our student expectations and the code of conduct, which is in the student handbook, and that is going to be posted to the website by tomorrow morning. We are not having agendas this year, so you will not have that hard copy, but all of that information will be posted on the website for you to review. We are very excited and looking forward to having our students back starting tomorrow, and we want to be here, and so we ask for your cooperation in following these guidelines so that we are able to remain in school.
So the end of the presentation is here, and we're ending with those 3 B's. We want to be safe, we need to be kind, and we have to be flexible. Every single Cazenovia student is an amazing individual. I know that we can do this. We know that we're going to adjust, follow the rules, and do what we need to do. We can't emphasize enough the need for you to bring those daily health screening slips, to only come to school if you have a temperature below 98.7. If you're feeling well, if you're not feeling well, or if you have a temperature, you do need to stay home. We need to wear those masks. We need to socially distance. We know that it's hard for young people to be around each other and to not give high fives and hugs. We really are going to ask that you are safe while you're here, that you're socially distanced, that you're wearing those masks, and that you're being patient, you're being kind, and being flexible. I am overwhelmed with a great sense of Laker pride for all that our district is doing to bring kids back. We're so excited to see our students, and we look forward to seeing you here this week. If you have specific questions related to your schedule, please reach out to your individual counselor. Mrs. Rue and myself are available for any parent questions or concerns. But other than that, we look forward to seeing all of our Cas Lakers back here this week at school.